welcome back to another On My Own New Frontier devlog. Today I'll be sharing some progress on my upcoming chill survival adventure game, including a look at the latest build, some UI updates including a brand new crafting menu, info on the upcoming development roadmap, and more. My name is Weik, I'm the creator of the original On My Own in this new game, New Frontier. Thanks so much for joining me today. Since the last devlog, I've been working on adding interactive plants, animals, and items to the game's first large area, the Eastern region. This region features 3 unique biomes, and the one I'm sharing today is the Taiga biome. If you've played the original On My Own, this biome will feel similar to the woodland biome, with a good mixture of animals to meet and resources to find. And just like the first game, all the flora and fauna are interactive, for better or for worse. That will be up to you, the player, to figure out. In the first On My Own, we had procedurally generated biomes that went on forever. You'll notice in New Frontier, when you walk far enough, you'll end up hitting some barriers that you'll need to work through. Figuring out how to get past these natural obstacles is how you will progress on to new regions. These new regions will open players up to additional items, resources, storylines, and more. As for the animals, I've gotten some of the classic On My Own critters in the game functioning, and have been adding some new animals as well. Because custom 2D animations take a while, I'm mainly focusing on animal behavior at this stage and plan to finish animations once I have more of the region's gameplay mechanics completed. For the terrain, I'm continuing to use the tile map editor tool to give the Eastern region a handcrafted feel. I've also started to leverage some procedural generation tools to help me populate each biome's custom plants and animals, and give the terrain a more organic feel. There's still some things to figure out when meshing the 3 biomes together, but I'm happy with the progress on the level creation front. Since jumping into the programming last year, I've continued to grow my ability to read and write code. I even picked up some new contract work building a new application in Unity. It's been a great way to double my time in the game engine and try out some new features such as UI Toolkit. It's been working out so far to take on as much development as I can myself and utilize various tools when needed, but I'm hoping to speed up development by bringing on some additional help when the time is right. One of the big things I'm excited to share with you all is changes made to the backpack inventory and crafting menu. Since the outset of the project, I knew that I wanted to improve the inventory and crafting experience, while also keeping the UI clean and unobtrusive, something that I felt was important to the vibe of On My Own. For the new backpack interface, I wanted to strike a balance between the original game's menu, something that I felt made On My Own stand out, but move it down to a more traditional spot that players might find easier to use, especially when placing items into the game world from their inventory. To open, you'll simply click on the backpack icon to expand, just like the first game. You'll notice one of the backpack slots has moved over into the equip menu, so you'll now have 4 different options for equipping items to your character. The slots for clothing aren't working quite yet, but will be added later on in development. For crafting this time around, I knew that I wanted to do something a little more conventional than what we offered players in the first On My Own game. I felt like the crafting system baked into the survival engine, a tool that I'm using for some base features in New Frontier, was a great first pass on bringing a conventional crafting experience to On My Own. I've made some of my own customizations to this menu's UI, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I still need to figure out how the crafting feels in the context of the full game experience, and gauge out how much information I want to give players. I want to find a balance where it'll be satisfying to figure out some of these recipes for the first time, but not so difficult that players give up. What do you enjoy when it comes to crafting in games? Let me know down in the comments below. You'll not only be able to craft tools in New Frontier, but structures as well. You may be familiar with some of these, such as the chest from the first game, a great way to store items outside of your backpack. Some structures will even allow you to create additional tools, materials, clothing, and more. Being able to create advanced materials and items will shift the game from a survival experience to more of a homesteading experience, a key part of the late game in New Frontier. You can look forward to more development on that front down the road. As I started to add more animals to the game, I realized there was an issue with how the 2D sprite billboards looked next to the 3D models, especially around the edges of the screen. My previous devlog, I talked about wanting a perspective camera view as opposed to an isometric one, because I wanted that draw distance for key shots. But this problem was forcing me to possibly rethink that conclusion. Something needed to change. the art, perspective, something. I just was not happy with how it was looking and was concerned I'd need to rethink some things that I felt were core to the visuals. But that all changed one day when I got this. You see, at the same time, I was doing some design work for a client and they needed some video material for their business marketing. I took on the video project and decided that it was finally time to update from my camcorder and get something a little more professional. And that really opened me up to learning a lot, not just about cameras, but lenses. And that's when it hit me. The field of view on my in-game camera, a tool that follows similar rules to a real camera, was too wide. It was behaving just like a panoramic lens, which starts to bend the image around the edges. The most extreme lens for this is the fisheye lens. The opposite of that is a lens that has a smaller field of view but is zoomed in more to give a flatter look. Returning to the game, I figured out that by lowering the field of view value and pulling my camera back in the scene a little bit, I was able to flatten the shot, blending the sprites in with the 3D objects a bit more, and also having a little perspective too. I'm pretty satisfied right now, but as always, this stuff is subject to change over the course of development. So what's ahead on the development roadmap? First, I'd like to share some exciting news with you all. We are bringing On My Own New Frontier to mobile as well as Steam. We have a ton of On My Own fans that played the original game on iOS and Android devices, and a mobile release has been the #1 most frequently asked question about New Frontier. So thank you guys so much for sharing your feedback. I really appreciate it. There's still a lot of work to be done on the game, so I'll have more information about release dates for each platform later on in development. In terms of gameplay, the next tasks on the roadmap, outside of adding additional animals, items, etc., is building key energy systems that are tied to the day-night cycle and in-game seasons. There's already some systems in place in the current build, but I need to tie all the systems together to make the game feel a little more like the original On My Own. There's also work ahead on the game's story, as well as some other unannounced features that I'm working through. I feel these unannounced features are the ones that will give the game its theme and soul, comparable to the letters and quotes from the original game. I'm really looking forward to sharing more about these mechanics when the time is right. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for future updates to New Frontier. Anyways, thanks again so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.